Good morning. Well, there you go. Things happen when you're trying to live stream. I apologize for the wait. There was a Skype issue. I was getting together with Jake. I wanted to get sounds and make sure everything was in sync, which it is, by the way. So don't be saying we're out of sync and audio is everything else, because we tested that. I apologize for keeping you waiting. Today, I have the distinct honor of welcoming Jake Sloan to the live stream, and you'll see him in a minute. I did want to show you this. This is Jake, and this is his channel, and why he has nearly 25,000 subscribers. That's really cool. Why he doesn't have 1 million, I don't understand. He's incredible. If you look at some of his stuff here, I mean, look at this guy. He's walking around. He's a drone dude. I wish I had his other stuff. Look at this thing. I don't know if you can see that, but it's just, this is all his Twitter stuff. I didn't even go to Instagram stuff. Look at his stuff. And then he's doing some more stuff here. Look at this flying. I wish I had the one where he drives through a freaking ice cave. By the way, that's his backyard. Look at this. You kidding me? And look at this ice cave. He had all sorts of stuff in there. Anyway, if you don't subscribe to this channel, you're missing out. So, first, I want to go here. Hey, look at that swanky thing. I do want to give a shout out. First of all, these guys at Restream, they are basically sponsoring this video. What they've done is they've given me all their goods so I can stream to all these different channels. Thank you so much for doing that. Chat, will look like this. And you'll see all your chat stuff up there on all the screens. And then if you happen to be on the main channel, check that out. You can do stuff. By the way, here's the link to Restream if you're interested. And you'll get free stuff. It's free. All the add-ons and stuff cost, but it's free. So anyway, let's go over enough ado and let's let Jake talk. Hey, there he is. Yo. Let me make sure he's unmuted here. Hey, man.
Hey, how's it
Hello.
going?
It's going well. How are you, sir?
Why is it that everything works until 5 minutes before you need it, and then nothing works? Like, that is the way it goes. Every professional production I've ever done in my entire life. Like, you can do everything you can do to test everything, and 5 minutes before the key moment it needs to work is when nothing works.
Isn't that funny?
It just, yeah.
Same here.
I'll never understand that.
I don't understand. By the way, there's a link to Jake's channel. Go there and subscribe to his channel.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So, Jake, welcome. Thank you. Here's my little thing that I'm going to throw up from time to time from Restream. Seriously, thank these guys for allowing me to do this. I tested it last week. And here's the other thing I'll throw up. If you're on the main channel, you can pay me thousands of dollars for this while I blah, blah, blah you to death. No. So, Jake, just tell us a little about yourself. Dude, like you live in Alaska. You know what? Talk about whatever you want to, because I want to hear stuff, and then I want to talk about cameras and Alaska and everything else. But let's just tell me. Go.
Well, first off, my name's Jake Sloan, if you don't know who I am. Thanks, Kevin, for putting all my social links up here. And so, yeah, I'm a freelance videographer and photographer. I live in Alaska. And as such, that affords me the opportunity to go explore and experience a lot of places that most people probably will never get the chance to experience. And so, you know, I go to these places with my camera and take as many photos and videos as I can. Most of my work actually doesn't have to do with any of that. It's more just doing like corporate headshots, corporate videos, business videos, promo videos, stuff like that. But when I started doing YouTube stuff, and started working with, or basically I was like kind of bored with my creative and professional endeavors, just because most corporate stuff doesn't allow you to be super creative. It's pretty cut and dry. So I started doing YouTube videos as a way to just have fun, be creative, and document some of my adventures when I go out exploring in Alaska, and started doing things like, you know, talking about this drone or this camera or this lens or whatever. And as I started doing that, realizing like that people wanted to see stuff, and then also started to think about like YouTube is something that you can do not just as a hobby, but something you can be serious about as far as the filmmaking stuff. And so sort of like trying to think, because there's a lot of people who do videography, photography, camera reviews and stuff. And I wanted to kind of figure out the ways that would set me apart or make me different from all of those other channels. And the number one way is that I have access to some of the most amazing landscapes and nature that anybody does on the planet. And it's fantastic for going out and testing and reviewing equipment out in, because it gives it a very real world test when it's 22 or 25 below zero. And it's at night, you're trying to capture some stars or aurora. The rain, the snow, pretty much all of it will test any sort of gear to the absolute max it can be tested. And if it survives a trip with me, then it's probably a pretty good piece of gear. So that's kind of where the direction my YouTube channel is taken, is taking a piece of equipment out and running it through its paces and seeing how well it survives, if it survives. Usually the stuff that doesn't survive doesn't ever make it into a video. I probably should put together a video about the stuff that hasn't made it. But yeah, and I think companies are a little more careful of what they send me now because they know that if it's not going to survive, they probably don't want me to have it. I mean, like I took a gimbal out. June sent me the Weeble S because I had done a few videos on the Weeble Lab, which was a great gimbal. I mean, it had its problems, but and the first thing I did with it was run down inside of a glacier ice cave. And glacier ice caves in the winter when it's very cold are frozen solid and they're great. But in the fall or spring when they're still relatively safe, they're dripping like, I mean, it's like being in a rainstorm. Everything's dripping from the ceilings because you're inside of a bunch of ice. Imagine that. And so I took it down in there and was testing it out, and I sent them some photos and some video clips, and they were like, "Oh, you shouldn't do that. It's not weather sealed at all." And my response was, "Well, it still works. It's still working a year and a half later. But if it can't handle a little bit of dripping water, then I'm not going to be able to use it for very long." So,
Wow.
yeah, that's a
So
little bit of my crazy life.
nice. So yeah, I've seen stuff from Jake that just kind of blows me away now. The first question that's really important to me is, do you have coffee? Okay,
Right
good.
here.
I just wanted to make
And then
sure.
look at that. Isn't that cool?
What is
A
that?
friend of mine
Let
designed
me
that.
see.
It's
What
like,
is that?
it's the state of Alaska with the YouTube Play thing on there.
Oh, I want
I was
that.
like,
I want that.
it's
Hey,
a
are you?
sticker. I'll send you one.
I'll take one. Are you streaming with the a7sIII right now?
Yes, I am.
Wow. Even through Skype,
Yeah.
it looks great.
So I'm streaming with the a7S III and the 24 millimeter G Master lens. When I have it set at f2. And I'm the camera's doing HD. I'm not doing it in 4K or anything like that. And
Hmm.
it's a tremendously great camera. I
Wow.
Yeah.
I when it comes to Sony, I'm a noob. I know nothing. Like, I got this camera, which you may know that I adore this thing right now, and it's just freaking awesome. I love this thing. I am still on auto mode, and that's not because I don't know cameras. It's because I believe when I get a camera, you grab it. I didn't even turn it on. I learned all the buttons and what this button does and blah, 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 blah. And then I put on auto mode and I'm taking video and this and that. And then I'll go into manual mode later. So I don't know. I don't want to turn in this into teach Kevin about the Sony a7S III, but even little auto mode me right now, because I methodically trained myself up into knowing all about the camera. This thing's a beast, dude.
It really is.
I
And like I've used, sorry,
That's
my
all right.
super unprofessionalness back here. Like the Sony a7 III. I bought it when it came out because I was jumping from Canon to Sony because Canon, I just couldn't handle the fact they kept limiting so many of their video features on their full frame bodies. You know, they don't limit their features on a lot of their cinema cameras, but I don't want to put a 15-pound cinema camera in my backpack and then hike 12 miles up a 5,000-foot mountain if I don't have to, because you know this weighs 2.5 pounds as opposed to 15 pounds. That's a big difference when you're hiking a long way. And so I bought this thing, and so it was a big change. Like it probably took me maybe 3 months of daily use to really figure out the way Sony does stuff. You know, it's kind of like Apple and PC land, Mac and PC land. Like they do the same sort of things, but the way they approach it and the way they want you to approach it as user is very different. And yeah, so After about 3 months, I really had it down. The biggest change was going from a touchscreen to no touchscreen, which now on the A7S III is not so much of an issue. And then, of course, they redid the menu system completely, which is really actually nice. Although, for me, coming from an older Sony menu, it has taken me a bit to get used to and to find stuff, because now it's more logical, whereas before it was random somewhat.
Yeah,
But
totally. Totally. Well, so I'm trying to get this picture. I mean, when all this COVID stuff, whoop, now I'm going to get a little banner on my video for saying COVID. Do you walk out of where you live is beautiful, dude. I'm blown away. Do you like walk out your back door and there's mountains and stuff? Or like,
uh,
do you live in a town? I mean, you don't have to tell us where you live, although,
oh no, that's I live in Anchorage, which is the largest city in Alaska.
oh,
Although
okay.
it's for a city in Alaska, we're 300,000 people
Hmm.
is Anchorage proper. Um, but Alaska only has 700,000 people, period. Even though we're fully 1/3 the landmass of the rest of the United States.
Mm.
So obviously a lot of it's tundra, not necessarily very inhabitable, but yeah. So part of the benefit of living here and dealing with long, dark winter nights and cold temperatures in the winter, and of course beautiful summers, is the fact that 45 minutes or less, and I can be in what is probably some of the most amazing mountains and wilderness and glacier-filled landscapes that there are. I mean,
Hmm.
it just, yeah, it's nice that way.
Amazing. Well, let's go check into some of these questions here. I am still working on this. I hooked up with Restream, and I know some people in here mentioned that it's really awesome. I'm not sure if they approached me or it doesn't matter. And I was like, hey, this is interesting. I can stream like on my unscripted channel, which I've been doing for months and months and months. You telling me that I can stream to my unscripted channel and my main channel and Twitch and Twitter and Facebook and LinkedIn, et cetera, all at the same time? They were like, yeah, I've been doing this for a while. And I was like, so I'm just testing this out. So the comment thing that you see scrolling by, I haven't quite figured out yet. I'm going to be doing a tutorial on this product next week. So I'm, me, methodical learning. I'm going to learn it. So you'll see the comments scrolling by and everything else. And I don't have a way. It's a long-winded way of saying I don't have a way to highlight the comment yet. So anything you see in here that doesn't work, that's my bad. Okay, good. Caveat. Let's go through the comments. I have, I'm just going to read them out because I can't highlight them right now. And I'll show you how to do that. We have Grand Tour fan, longtime subscriber. He says he's from the Netherlands. He says some seriously great videos on the Jake Sloan channel. No kidding, guys. I mean, just go check out there's uploads. There's a list. Just go check out his videos. Are you blushing right now?
A little bit.
Okay, good. Interactive DNA. This is the guy who did all the graphics for me, who got me into OBS, who got me that
Nice.
beautiful interface. The guy where I went, wow, I need to let other people know this data. And he loves to come into my live streams and comment about things we should have done. I love this guy.
Isn't that like 70% of YouTube comments anyway? It's
It
like,
is.
oh, you did this and this and this, and I know you spent 3 days out in the middle of nowhere filming that, but the one thing you didn't do is this. Obviously, you should have done that.
It is. But here's the problem. He's a bit of a troll, but he's always right.
Well, at least there's that, because usually those comments are
So
like,
there's one guy that happens to be right. He's saying Restream is great. Used them. Ask them so you can stream at 4K. I'm working on that. It's becoming important. He also had another comment about that frame rate you're streaming in, and that you should never Skype with 24 frames per second. I get that. Now, realize before we started, Jake had to do something. I was trying to set up. Skype was being a little, I shouldn't say that word, complainy.
A problem child.
It was being much a problem child, and things weren't working, and we couldn't get audio, and he was in 24 frames, and he's going to switch to 30. I don't know if he did. He had to switch out his capture card, and I think he's still streaming in 24. Maybe it doesn't recognize it, and I told him, don't change anything, because we finally got a connection.
But so, I did change it, and it's at 30. I'm in 30p.
Good. I think what's happening, because it's a little bit whatever, this is all Skype, man. And I promise you, it isn't the connection, it isn't Restream, and it isn't my connection. It's Skype.
No, I think it's Skype and maybe the Alaska connection, because our internet can be sketchy. We have polar bears chewing on the cables, and then the halibut chew on the undersea line. I mean, you know. That's what I tell people when something doesn't work. I'm like, man, those dang polar bears were chewing on the phone lines again. I gotta just like.
Absolutely. We got let's see, we got another comment here. I can't wait till I get the little pop-up so I can highlight these comments. I'm still figuring this out, guys. I apologize. But hey, all these different channels are being able to watch this at the same time, and we're not dying, so I'm really happy. I'm looking at the comments over here. Sunrise Water Media is saying, if the a7 III and the a7S III combine their best parts, would that be the Cony camera? So
absolutely, but I think your names have to be Levin or Lake to use the Cony camera. I'm pretty sure they don't let anybody else use it.
Jake did a tweet about this live stream and said, join me and Levin instead of Kevin. It's autocorrect, blah. So I replied, I think I said to join Lake and me, Kevin. And then Sunrise Water Media found in the description of this thing that I, instead of calling it Sony, I called it Cony. So there you go. Isn't that awesome? We're talking about depth of field, frame rate. Are you Skyping at? Yada, yada, yada. Let's see some questions here. Michael, when I go to full screen mode, I lose the chat on the right. How can I comment without going back? That's just the way YouTube works. I'm sorry if somebody else has a comment about that. Cool. We have more comments about all sorts of stuff in 24 frames per second, which I'm just going to ignore. Pete Hallis, it's Skype. Let's find it. We're getting there. We're getting there. Look at this. Polar bears. Jake Sloan, are you using OBS? It is not Skype. Is something else.
No, all I'm using is Skype right now. When I stream on my channel, I use OBS.
Yeah. If you're interested, what's happening is the following. I called Jake on Skype. The feeds are coming. All this stuff is going through my A10 Mini Pro. It's coming into OBS. I have a connection with Skype, with Jake, and that's what you're seeing. And I promise you, on the other end, we've done all the tests. I always record an OBS a test to make sure everything's synced up. So if you're out of sync, we're seeing it out of sync, I apologize for Skype, your connection, YouTube, or whoever else is doing that, because it's not us. There. Feel better. Put the responsibility and blame on someone else. Jake Sloan, I use the Mix Pre 3. You have a Mix Pre 3 too?
Yes, not the second version, just the
also?
original.
Me too.
Yes.
I didn't jump into the second version because I didn't see the benefit of, well, dropping another $700 for something that gave me, is it 32-bit that they added and a few other things?
Yeah,
I
I
don't
think
care.
yeah. So I mean, I used to do a lot of audio production and worked in studios, recording studios and stuff. And 32 bit's great. I think the only good reason to upgrade to one is if you're going out to record stuff that's both insanely quiet and incredibly loud, and you don't know when that's going to change from quiet to loud,
Hmm.
because basically you can record, you really can't clip the audio at 32-bit. It's insane. But like for me, everything I'm doing, even going out and recording glaciers and stuff, I'm like, I can set the levels about where I know where they're going to be, so it's fine. And it sounds the same. I mean, it sounds great. I know the new version has a few other features that you can add on, but
Hmm.
I don't see the need for it.
Yeah,
Plus, I'm like you. I don't feel like spending another $700 or $800 to replace a piece of gear that's working perfectly.
it's perfect. In fact, I bought two.
Oh,
I have one here, and then I have one in the studio. So I don't, when I dial something in, I don't like messing with it. I don't like carrying it around. Like if I was going to go out and shoot something and I needed good audio, I'd grab my Zoom 8.6 and use that. I won't touch these. They're dialed in. I've, I even actually had Curtis Judd on I think it was a Zoom call or something, and he helped me dial this in live, him and me. Thank you, Curtis.
oh, nice.
Yeah. Yeah, he's great. I got to tell you, I didn't mention this at the beginning, but people like Curtis, there are a handful of 5 or 10 people. I met Jake. I've never met him live. I've never seen him live. We've never shaken hands, whatever that is.
Yeah.
Um,
Or
all
what is
that
it now?
stuff.
A fist bump and elbow thing now
Is it?
because we're not
Is it?
supposed to touch.
That's tough because I'm a real shaky hand guy. I know when I
Oh
first
man.
met Curtis at NAB a couple of years ago, I think I flipped him out. Here comes this guy who's like, Land of the Giants and his brother. I forget his brother's name, Curtis and whatever his name is. Sorry, dude. I see him. I'm like, whoa! I walk up, like bear hug and shake his hand. I'm a touchy feely guy. Not in a creepy way. I like people. Anyway, the point is, I met Jake. I don't know if I met you on Twitter or whatever, and I started following you. And when you're a YouTuber and you hook up with these people, it's just great. I mean, you make these friends. I've never met this guy. I I have no idea. I just want to go up into the mountains and hike with him and drink bottles of whiskey and smoke cigarettes and cigars and at high altitude with this guy.
We could do that.
Oh yeah, and die.
Well, that's always a possibility. But then again, you could be driving down the street, and same thing
That's
could
true.
happen.
Yeah, I don't
My
worry about crap
philosophy
like
is,
that.
there's risk to everything. I take what looks like insane risks to people,
Hmm.
but I mean, I've grown up mountaineering too, so I kind of understand the risk. But to me, I'm like, I see the same amount of risk when I'm driving down the road, and I look next to me, and the person is texting while they're driving on icy roads 50, 60 miles an hour.
Right.
That to me is more dangerous than climbing up a mountainside or going into the inside of a glacier ice cave.
I the glacier ice cave blew me away. I used to many years ago. I've climbed. I don't even remember the names. 5 over 14,000 foot mountains in Colorado because I used to live there with my wife. Wow, insane! It's absolutely insane. Now I get puffy walking up and down the stairs. That's why I told you if I ever come out, you got to give me like 3 months or 6 months to get in shape. Not that I'm in bad shape, but this whole, oh, well, I went out and walked 16 miles today and found a nice cave and tunneled down and put some lights in there. And it's really cool that it didn't fall into my head. Oh, and it's, minus 70 degrees below zero. And I took some cool footage. I'm like, no, dude, like, let's go to Anchorage and hang out in a restaurant and drink coffee.
We could do that. And there are easier places to get to that we could go
Yeah.
that would be, I mean, we'd still glaciers, the ice. Some of the ice caves I go to are like a mile and a half one way and maybe 400-foot elevation change. So it's not a big deal. But yeah, the reason I go further out than that a lot of times is I just trying to get away from crowds of people so that
Yeah.
I'm not being interrupted all of the time and or there's not like 75 people walking in the background behind me as I'm trying to film a
Oh,
video
right.
about something. So um
Well,
but
let's
yeah,
go ahead.
there are lots of places. I saw Michael Finn he asked me to fill in a little more on my background and how I got into photography and how long I've been a pro, what type of work, etc. Um, so Michael Finn, I want to say his last name differently, but anyway, I got into photography. I started getting into it when I was 17. My grandmother gave me a Pentax K1000, which is a old film all manual camera. I don't know how much of that I have to explain now because I'm getting older and all the young kids these days don't know that you couldn't take pictures without a phone back in the day. So it was all manual film camera, and I got started using that. I think using an all manual camera is fantastic because it forces you to learn the relationship between shutter speed, ISO, and f-stop, which is great. Uh, and because I was living in Alaska, I was friends with and I worked for part-time a National Geographic photographer who lived up here. And then I also rubbed shoulders with a lot of other really fairly well known, at least in their sphere, photographers like Bradford Washburn, who is a really great mountain photographer. I got to rub shoulders with a lot of people like that. So I was always picking their brain, trying to learn about it and stuff. I didn't actually start doing photography and videography. I mean, I always did it as just as a hobby and for fun. I didn't start doing it as a career until a few years ago when all of a sudden I was like, I see all these local videos and I see all these photos that people are paying a lot of money for. And I know, I mean, it sounds really stuck up, but I'm looking at it going, I can do better than that. And these people deserve better than that for the money that they're getting charged. So that's how I jumped into it as a full-time career. So I guess as a professional, career-wise, I've only been doing it for five years or so.
Hmm.
Before that, my career as a professional was actually music, professional recording, audio recording, and music production. And did that for 15
I,
years, which is,
I see a good. Wait, I see a guitar back there. Do you play?
I do. My main instrument is keyboard, and then I
Oh,
play acoustic is probably my second favorite thing to play, and then I can play bass well. I'm not a bass player, but I can play well enough that people think I'm a bass player. Yeah. So
that's my
I don't
bass.
have it out, but I've got a 1979 Fender Jazz bass, which I just
And you don't
love.
play it?
I
Send it to
haven't
me.
played it in forever, but I can't bring myself to part with it either because it's it's a great bass and
It
I
is.
love it.
I'll give you $100 for it.
Hmm.
Hey, we got a
Uh,
question here from Faisal Chan. I'm really sorry if I murdered your name. He's talking about the A7S III. Does it have a moire problem too?
Mine does not. Usually the moire problem comes from the higher resolution sensors when you get too much detail in the image. Um, I mean, all the video that I've shot with this and the images I've shot with this, I love the way they look. I like the way they feel. But I also generally do use an ND filter too, so that I can control my frame rate and or have control my shutter speed in regards to whatever frame rate I'm shooting at, so that they're the 180-degree rule, which is where you want your shutter speed to be twice whatever frame rate you're shooting at, or as close to twice as you can get it. So that anytime I see a lot of moire, it usually has to do with that more than the camera itself. But I have seen where, like with the A7R III and the A7R4, sometimes I've seen a little bit more moire. Ooh, that's hard to say.
Mm-hmm.
Um, And as far as I know, I think it's just because you have a 42 and a 61 megapixel sensor that's picking up so much detail. It's too much detail. But usually it comes from people not having the right shutter speed based on their frame rate, or using an ND filter to kind of help deal with the moire effects.
Right.
So,
Yeah, I remember. There are so many things that we all used to have to worry about that we don't now. I know there's a comment. I'm not sure if it was by you or someone else. Um, this camera, etc., and the tech that's come out, with the exception of I have a Feiyu Tech AK 4500, which is freaking awesome. Stabilizers. I mean, I don't use stabilizers anymore. I'm just sitting there with the cam and hand holding and doing stuff
yeah.
like that, and it's totally legit. And these stabilizers, like I'm being asked, can you do this new stabilizer and the Feiyu take this and the phone this and the that and the blah 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 and the cam stabilizer. I'm just not interested. I don't feel like I now a really good electronic slider. Oh, by the way, cliffhanger that I can't talk about. There's a slider and it's electronic and it goes like this and it does slow-mo and everything else. It's really compact and I can't tell you who and I can't tell you when and I can't tell you why. But that's coming.
Is it by that company that you and I both like, that builds stuff that we use on a regular daily basis, generally as a matter of course of action, and it's a good one?
Well, let me say this. No comment.
Okay.
I can't. But that's coming to the channel, and that I will absolutely bring with me. Hell, I'll just keep it in my car if I ever go anywhere. It's
See,
amazing. It's coming. I get it before it's released. I get to look at it, and I'm done. Sliders, everything. I'm done. Anyway, the point being, you don't need this stuff anymore. Like these stabilizers, and keep my. You find that true? Like you just hand hold and you're done.
yeah. I mean, with the a7S III, because of the active stabilization built in, or because it has gyro data that you can stabilize in post, the only time I use a gimbal now is when I'm out on a client shoot. Anything I go and shoot for myself is just the camera, handheld, run and gun. I have a small rig cage and like the extra handle, which does help you. It helps you get a lot more stable shots for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, yeah. And as far as that thing that you weren't talking about and weren't saying anything about, I had almost started to lose hope that was ever going to come to market.
Oh, you think I'm talking? I'm talking about something else. I think.
Yeah,
That
definitely.
I'm being coy and I'm lying. I'm lying right now. You notice? You can tell. I mean, my mom was like this. Something happens to my face. Same with my wife. I go, well, and they go, don't even bother. My nose flares and my face turns. Anyway, I got Andy Buckley. Hello, Andy. Thank you for joining us. I have used a GoPro for years for vlog hiking vids, but I'm trying to jump to full frame APS-C. I'm finding that I'm overthinking too many settings. GoPro was just go. And it says continued. Too much thinking about frame rate, 1.8, tone H. Any advice to stop overthinking for beginners? I'm going to let you answer this, because if I answer this, I'll be done in about 30 minutes. Plus, this is a show where you're the guest, so you're supposed to talk. So give me your advice. You got a ton of advice, I know.
So I think that I think people tend to overthink it, for one, to start out with, especially if you're doing stuff primarily for YouTube, social media, stuff like that. It's easy to really overthink things. Most of the modern day cameras that have been released in the last 2 years or so, you could probably just set it on auto and shoot that way, and be pretty happy with everything you get in the beginning. Now, eventually there'll come a point where, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months down the road, depending on how much you shoot, where you'll start to notice things that you want different, whether it's how much background blur you have, or you notice things are stuttery, or the motion isn't smooth, or too much noise in the footage and things like that. And so then that's the point where you start diving into like, okay, now I'm going to start figuring out how to control the background blur or the noise in the image via ISO, or how to set the shutter speed correct and stuff like that. The nice thing is there are channels like Kevin's and a little bit like mine sometimes, where you can learn a lot about how to set the basics of a camera up and start working with it like that. But for me, like with the Sony cameras, because I shot everything, I mean, there's other videos that I had. They're not out there now, and I shot them all with a GoPro Hero 4 or my iPhone 6. Some of my iPhone 6 videos are still on my channel just because, yeah, anyway. And so in the end, regardless of what shutter speed you use or ISO you use or camera you use or how much background blur there is, that matters less than what you're capturing, the story you're trying to tell through the video or the images that you're capturing. And that is what always will take precedent, or will capture people. And that's the bottom line.
I've said this a billion times. Okay, that's an over-exaggeration. It's more like a million. My channel was set up to bring new and beginning filmmakers up the line so they can move on to bigger and better things, or they can keep watching. And I've said this a bazillion times. Take your phone, your camera, your GoPro, your whatever. In fact, Jake said this yesterday in this live stream that I kind of bombed in and almost took over. And he said this yesterday, just go shoot stuff. Like, I have this guy who's part of the new YouTube Academy over at the university. And he's like, hey, and I should, dude, quit thinking about stuff. Go grab your camera, go shoot stuff, go edit stuff, put it up and post it on YouTube. Well, I'm not sure. I might be embarrassed. You have 5 freaking subscribers. Who gives a crap? Just shoot, post, learn how to frame, post it. Take pictures of your cat, post it. They'll get buried as your channel grows. You are not gonna learn anything by just watching videos. If you don't go out and shoot, your knowledge base and what you know and what you don't know is never going to happen. If you don't take your phone and just go out and go shoot and frame, what does it look in? What does it look out? Left, right, from behind. Oh, there's some light coming through the trees, blah, 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 blah. If you don't do this, you're going to be forever asking questions about how to shoot or make a video. Go freaking do it. Okay, that was a bit of a rant. Let's talk politics. Joking. Thank you for the answer, by the way. Jake Sloan. Hey, this is a good question from Nay. I love this guy. Nay at Interactive DNA. It should be Interactive Nay. What do you think about the upcoming GH6? The GH5, still strong today. Have you ever used it? I did several commercials with the GH5 mixed with high-end cameras, and no problems there. I don't use these things.
So I have used the GH5. In fact, my a7sIII, comparing against the a7III camera, any of the shots you see me doing something with the camera were shot with a GH5, because that's what a friend that went with me on that trip, that's what he has. I think the GH5 is still a phenomenal camera, and it's pretty impressive considering it's been around for a while and it still holds up and stacks up today, which is amazing. It has its limitations, but every camera does. I haven't seen much, I haven't looked into the rumors and the specs on the GH6, but I really hope that Panasonic can hit another one out of the park, just because it's good for all of us who use these things. for camera companies to be pushing each other to create and innovate. Otherwise, we end up with one particular drone manufacturer who really hasn't had to innovate much at all because they just don't have any competition. They're starting to get some now, but for a while they just didn't. So they were like, well, why would we release a new drone? Nobody can buy anything better than what we produced 2 years ago, so we'll just leave it that way.
I know that, I think, was it Dave Andrade, Post Color Gear? He did a video the other day. Was it about the Panasonic? It was something. And it was like a couple of year ago camera, and he was purporting this camera. He's like, look, this thing's got 4K. This thing will shoot RAW. It's got a flip out screen. What was it? Maybe wasn't the GH5, it was something else. Anyway,
yeah.
I was blown away. I was like, where is
something
this thing?
A 9? Something 9? G9? G something 9?
Yeah.
I remember seeing that tweet.
And I was watching this going, where the hell has this camera been? Like, what? And let me see if I can find this.
There are a few sleeper cameras out like that. Like, I think the Nikon Z6 is a really good hybrid camera. It takes really good photos. It does really great video. The autofocus is pretty solid, but you hear almost nobody talks about it. But it's a super solid camera.
The Panasonic G9.
Yeah, you had a 9 in there.
Like, what? And he's going through this on his video, and I'm like, wait, what? I mean, this is a couple of year old camera, and it's like has a flip out screen. It pivots. It'll shoot 4K. It has. I was like, where have you been? I would have bought this thing years ago. Anyway, some more questions here. Oh, before we go on, I have some questions. Given all my experience that I have in drones and flying drones and spending massive hours doing it, I have a Mavic, whatever it's called, 2.
Yeah.
I've flown it 5 times, and that's it.
Oh.
And I even crashed it once, but it was okay. So I have some basic questions that other people are going to... I like to ask these questions, and I know what the answers to some of these questions are, but there are people who won't ask these questions, so I ask them for it so everybody can go, oh, you're stupid. Yes, I am. Thank you. You fly drones. First off, what is FPV?
Oh, man. I should have brought one.
Person view? Vehicle?
Yes.
Okay.
First person view.
Well, when you're flying those, does that mean you're wearing a headset?
Yes. So you're wearing a set of goggles or something that it's, and then in the front of the drone is a little camera. And so everything you do is if you were sitting on the front of that drone flying around at breakneck speed. It is, if you've played video games, like if you've flown in flight simulators and stuff, it will come a little bit more naturally than if you've never played video games. Because, I mean, there's the whole muscle memory of just controlling stuff like that. But it's the reason I got into it was I like the camera, the GPS stabilized drones like the DJI Mavic 2. That's one of the ones that I run, and they are great at helping to tell bits of the story as far as like establishing locations or giving really dynamic movement shots with really great stable footage. But there were a few times that I really wanted to get footage that was that felt like you were in a small plane or a helicopter flying through some of these locations. And the only way you can do that is with an FPV drone, or you have to hire a helicopter that's $10,000 an hour. And we don't have any of those helicopters, just happen to be sitting around up here. So, and there are times when you don't want to put a helicopter in that much danger. So, or in that close a proximity to things. And so that's why I jumped into it. Now, in hindsight, like I would have jumped into it anyway, just because it's a lot of fun. Like it's an absolute blast. Because to even fly the little tiny ones that are like this big around the house in the wintertime with my son, and we're flying under the chairs and through the kitchen table and racing each other around the house and stuff. But yeah, so it feels like you're strapped to the front of an airplane ripping through whatever location you're flying through.
Wow.
And
I, and
generally, you
it,
stick a GoPro on the front of it and use that as your filming camera to get
oh,
better quality footage than what comes out of the camera you're looking through. But
wow.
yeah,
I,
and they're
uh,
they're capable. So they're primarily you have to build them yourself and program yourself, which is a little bit of a learning curve. But
oh,
they're also much what they're capable of is a lot more than the GPS stabilized drones. Because like I've got one, the big one that will carry like the A7S III if I dared to put it on there, which I won't just yet. And it'll go 80 to 100 miles an hour pretty
what?
easily. Yeah, it's got 8 motors, 8 propellers. It sounds like a really angry hornet's nest when it takes off, and it will
Wow.
carry a small cinema camera up to 100 miles an hour and chase cars or whatever else around, which is
No way, man.
um, a lot of fun. It's also a little terrifying when you put a $8,000 camera body and a $15,000 lens on top of a small drone that you're going to go rip through the trees at 100 miles an hour chasing something down with. But
Totally.
most of the time, anytime I do that, whoever I'm working for at that point is like, "That's fine. We got insurance. Do it." Like,
Wow. Yeah, I could
I get it.
see. I know. What's his name? Andre over at Worth It or Not. He reviews these little action cameras. I mean, reviews some of the good ones, the Hero 9. I'll keep my opinions to myself, and the Osmo and all that. And they also these Akasi and these little $100 cameras, and they're pretty good. If I was gonna do that, I'd go buy one of these $90 cameras, strap it on there, and go flying away. Because there's no way. Are these drones that you're talking about? Are they expensive?
Well, like most things in life, they can be.
I get it. So you could buy something for a couple $100 and it's whatever, and then you can also buy something that's a couple $1,000. Okay.
Right. So like my larger one, I built myself. I pulled all the materials together and put it together and programmed it myself. And I'm probably getting around the $1,000 mark on that one.
Okay.
But that's eight, like that's double everything that you would have on a normal drone. And it's larger. So the motors are bigger, more powerful.
I
The
see.
speed controls are bigger, more powerful. Plus there's double of them all. Most of them, like the small 5-inch ones where you played that clip in the beginning, that was shot with my small 5-inch and a GoPro.
Wow.
So about like that. And when they say 5-inch, that refers to the propeller size, not necessarily the drone size.
Oh, I see.
So that one, you could build one of those for a couple $100, and then you have like another couple $100 to buy a set of goggles and a controller, and then you're up and running. And you can buy ready-to-go kits to learn, which is what I recommend. Don't go out and buy a fast, also very, uh, you know, slicey, happy drone
Mm-hmm.
until you learn to fly one. But you can buy the fly more the all-in-one kits where they come with like a basic set of goggles, a basic controller, and a little drone this big that has ducts around the propellers, and you can fly it around, bumping into things yourself, and it won't hurt anything, and the drone won't break either.
Hmm.
And learn to fly that way, which is what I did. That's the best way to go about it, because then one, you get all your skills so that when you jump into the larger drone, everything is exactly the same. It's just now you're able to go 70 miles an hour instead of 30 miles an hour,
Hmm.
and you can put a GoPro on it. But and the smaller ones, I still love flying the smaller ones in the winter when it's brutally cold outside and my son and I are racing around the house chasing each other. It's just a lot of fun.
Chasing your other with drones?
Yeah. So I put little LEDs on them. So he's got a red one and I've got a blue one. So they really stand out. And we'll just run around the house and chase each other around.
Wow.
It's a lot.
JHB. There's a bunch. If I miss your comment, I'm sorry. We're already at possibly in. Well, we're not at an hour yet, but whatever. JHB on YouTube is saying, if you are flying with goggles, do you have to have a visual spotter with you to be legal?
Yes, technically you do
Really?
have to have somebody who is a visual observer, keeping an eye on the drone and where it is if you're using goggles. Um, I will say that rule is probably the least followed rule in the FPV hobby, but it is
Hmm.
technically you're supposed to. I generally do because I'm usually flying with friends anyway, so we'll all just kind of take turns. But if you're inside, you don't have to. So.
So I say, I've never done this, which is I'm asking these very simple questions because I don't know anything about it. And when I always get interested, I start asking all these really basic questions that some people won't even ask. You pansies. Joking. So goggles, so you're shut off from the world. You're like, all you're seeing is the drone. You're flying, obviously not walking around because where you live, you could fall off a cliff. So you're shut off from the world and you're immersed in virtual first-person shooter game. You don't know what's going on around you except maybe sonically, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Wow.
a lot of times, and the other difference between like GPS stabilized drones, like the Mavics or
Mm-hmm.
the DJI drones, and FPV drones is range. There are people who fly for miles and miles and miles, but generally the FPV
Wow.
drones are very short range and short flight time, like 3 to 5 minutes.
Oh,
Whereas
wow.
the DJI drones, they've got 5, 6 miles of range and 20 to 30 minutes of flight time, which you're not supposed to go out of your line of sight, being able to
Mm-hmm.
see the drone physically anyway, without any sort of corrective, or AKA binoculars.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, some of that might be changing in the future anyway. But we'll see, I guess, how that
Wow.
goes. But generally, FPV drones are close, short range drones as it is.
Wow. Yeah, I've never done this. I mean, I'd like to try it, but I think I need to pull the dust off my Mavic Pro 2 Gold Platinum, whatever the heck it's called. And I just need to take out and fly, and I need to find out what the rules are. Where can I fly? Can I go down to the school track football field? I don't know. I need to do it just because it'll get me out. But personally, I haven't, with the way I do my videos, excuse me, my channel, I haven't found any reason to do that. I mean, like you, perfect. Setup, wide shot, location, beautiful. Me, I'm at a football field. Oh, and you know, I'm at a football field, and now let's go check out this new review of this slider. Bleh. So anyway,
Right. So, um, one of the ways I started using drones, because I primarily work by myself. When I'm filming YouTube videos or when I'm working for clients, I'm almost always by myself. So I started using drones as my Mavic 2 Pro as a B camera, that I
mm,
could use to capture shots of me in action with whatever I was using.
mhm.
Because you can have it sit in one spot just as like it's on a tripod. So, or you can have it like slowly moving around you. And I found that really, uh, as far as capturing B-roll or B footage of me using a piece of equipment out in the field or out on location, that
Mhm.
really helped. Because before I used to carry a drone, a B camera, and my A camera, plus whatever I'm working with or reviewing, plus a gimbal, plus a whole bunch of other stuff. So I had like 60 pounds worth of gear. But then I've
Wow.
sometime last year, I think it was, or maybe a year and a half ago, I was like, wait a second, I've got this drone that can sit and hover in place perfectly, or it can just slowly orbit around me while I'm doing something. That's the
Mm.
only thing I need for a B camera, because all my audio is coming off my A camera anyway.
Mhm.
So it's that part of it's great. Like if you want to show yourself working with a slider and your camera out in a football field, because that's the thing that people do a lot, I guess. Then then
I don't even know the
then a
rules. I mean, I
drone is
may
great.
go out
Hey,
there,
people do that
school
as
down
much as they
here.
go down inside a glacier ice caves with a gimbal for fun, I guess.
Yeah.
I suppose.
Yeah, I saw one where you were flying through this glacier thing, and I was like, dude. But yeah, I mean, I go down to this football field. I guess I should call the city and say, hey, I have a drone. There's a school. There's this, I think it's an elementary school. Um, don't even go there. I'm thinking about flying my drone down there. Can I do that? Or are you going to, I don't know. Hi, honey. This is my one phone call. I was flying a drone down at the local elementary school on their football field, and I'm in jail. I guess I should call the city, is what I should do, and say, hey, is this cool? Because I'd love to do it. I have a question here from Walter. Being Detroit, Walter started this cool YouTube channel, and I'm putting words into his mouth. This is me talking, not what he's saying. So don't take any of this that Walter's doing this. In my opinion, Walter has had enough of the crap in the world. He lives in Detroit, and he started a channel, and he's basically going through and saying, hey, I live in Detroit. There's some bad stuff happen. Knock it the hell off. Let me show you Detroit and all the beauty in the world. So he's trying to like show Detroit in a good light instead of being the news media and not doing that. Anyway, he has a question. What's a good starter drone kit? And then 400 AGL says, look into Tiny Hawk 2 setup. If you want to talk about drones and drone kits for just a minute, I'm going to put you on the screen because there's something happening over here, and I need about 30 seconds to go handle that. So you mind talking for 30 seconds about kits and drones, and then we'll get back to cameras and other stuff? Is that cool with you?
Yeah. Is this what they call stalling in show business? Stall, keep it going.
This is called, I hear a really strange, odd, I've never heard it before noise.
All right.
It's actually that way over here. And I want to go take a look at what the heck's going on. I don't know if my, cat jumped into the refrigerator and is freezing. So just give me 30 seconds.
Sure, no problem.
In fact, you could talk about drones and then we could come back around to like cameras and stuff. In fact, you know what? It's now your show. I'll be back in about a minute. Take it over, Jake.
All right. Well, everybody sit down and let's talk. 400 AGL. As far as starter drone kits, 400 AGL is dead on. The Tiny Hawk 2, which is actually the one that I use, is great. The drone kit should be right around or less than $200. If you go for the kit that's like right around $200, then you get a little bit better controller and a controller that can be used with other drones as well. There's also a kit out there that's, again, right around $200 that's made by Beta FPV. They're almost identical. It's just, 6 1/2 dozen. I think the Beta FPV one actually has a little bit better controller setup. And those are the two ones that I would recommend because they're both really good starter kits that come with everything you need. They're ready to go out of the box and you can start flying right away, basically. So generally try and hit the ones that are right around the $200 mark is kind of where you want to end up. So yeah, and then the other thing you can do, but I'm not sure if either of the controllers of those two kits will work necessarily. I think the Beta FPV one does. But you can buy a $20 simulator for your computer and start with that. And kind of what people say is like if you spend about 10 hours on a simulator and then jump to the Tiny Hawk or something like that, you'll be set and ready to go. And the thing is, the reason I tell people to start with a $200 kit is, one, it's fun. You can run them around a lot. I'm still running mine for fun. But you've only invested $200 if you find out that you really hate it. And some people do really hate it, like the goggles, just the whole feeling, the muscle memory of using a controller to fly. Sometimes it just doesn't jive with people, and that's fine. Everybody has different things they like and prefer to do. And so at that point, you've jumped in, but you haven't spent $500, $600, $700, $800,000 on stuff that then you've got to try and figure out how to eBay or get rid of in some way. So that's what I would recommend. And like 400 AGL is right on. The Tiny Hawk 2 is a great one to start out with. The Beta FPV is a good one too. Either one of those, they're right around $200 or maybe just slightly under $200 for a kit is what I would recommend. And then if you want to upgrade from there, you can, of course, spend a lot more money, a lot easier if you want to. Going back to, actually, Dave Clark asked a question or said something. He's not an expert, but he said they start with the FAA rules. And he brings up a really good point, is the only governing body in the United States that has the authority to regulate airspace is the FAA. Nobody else as soon as you leave the ground, has any authority to regulate airspace. So when you're checking local rules, what you need to look for is places that your local city or your local municipality or whatever has artfully come around that by allowing or not allowing takeoffs and landings on that property. Is kind of a funny thing, but it's the way that cities and towns have gotten around the fact that they cannot control the airspace, because they can't. It's very specific. The FAA is the only ones in the United States that has the ability to regulate airspace. So the thing to watch out for when you're flying in your local city or local town is watch for places where they have specifically banned takeoff and landing of remote controlled vehicles in those spaces. I think the best app to use to find out places you can fly or can't fly is called Air Map, and it's free, and it's a map that pulls up, your location, where all the places around you, and will let you know whether or not you can fly. And also gives you information of, like, if you need to call a number or get approval from somebody to fly in an area or something like that. So let's see. Is there a way, JHBU asks, is there a way to FPV one of the standard DJI drones, or goggles that will work with the older Phantom? So, and I think somebody answered that, but you can, if the DJI controller has an HDMI out, like I use the smart controller with my Mavic 2 Pro and it has HDMI out, you can put that into a set of goggles that has an HDMI in, so, or an AV in if you want to use a converter and stuff like that. But the feeling, the experience of flying something that's stabilized where it doesn't tip and roll as you're flying around or tilt is a little different. So not to say that it's not fun. I've flown DJI drones with goggles before, and it is a lot of fun. It's just a little bit different than flying the actual FPV drones. So let's see.
This is cool, man.
I think
I
caught up on questions. Except for poor Captain Jack just melted a $2,000 coffee maker. That's sad. I'm sorry, Captain Jack. My condolences.
This is cool. Hey, I'm trying to point it on your screen. That doesn't work. Where'd you get that cool neon sign, dude? I want
this one back here.
Yeah, I want one.
So that was made by a company called Yellow Pop.
Oh, I've heard of these guys.
They're in, you see them, like, I think McKinnon, probably Matty Hipoya. There's a bunch of YouTubers with these things now. But I reached out to him a few months back and was like, hey, this is my logo for my channel, is kind of like the circle with the J and S as one sort of letter. Mm-hmm. Can you guys make that into a neon sign? And they were like, yes. And the first thing they sent back was like 36 inches around and a lot of money. So it's like, no, that's way too big. Like that. And so I emailed back. I was like, about 18 inches would be good. Mm-hmm. And so they came back. I think all said it was like $350 by the time I paid for shipping up here, which was a fair amount, because it's large and fragile. But yeah, I really like it.
Cool.
And it's dimmable, and they'll do any color you want, which I'm like, yeah, it's very cool.
Yeah, I just went and looked at Yellow Pop. I'll check it out. All the cool kids have neon signs.
You got to keep up with those cool kids.
All right. Hey, thank you for taking that over. I found out what was happening. I won't go into the long, drawn-out story, but it involved another cat and my cat visiting through the window and playing with each other through the window. And I knew I heard something weird. I was like, what the hell is going on? Anyway, wow, look at all these comments.
I saw Michael Finn had another question in the... There's so many chat windows open right now.
I know. I'd really love an answer to the question I posed earlier. Oh, I'm sorry, Michael. I apologize. Dude, Anyway, whatever. Given the choice of traveling to any country in the world and capturing your dream subject, where would you go and what's the subject?
So one of my life goals is to set foot on all 7 continents. So far, I'm at 5. I need to go hit up Australia and Antarctica someday. But I think honestly, I would love to go to New Zealand and capture some of the landscape in New Zealand. It's it's interesting because Alaska, we're way north and we've got a very specific landscape. New Zealand is really similar, but because of their location, they have this like weird mix of tropics or subtropics, and also have mountains and glaciers, which I would really love to go see in person because I think it'd be really interesting. Um, yeah, so I'd love to go capture some of the landscape in New Zealand.
Wow, that's cool. Yeah, I like to leave my house.
I think in the year 2020, just about all of us would like to leave our house.
It was when this whole thing came along. I've told this story a lot of times back in September, October, November. Really, let's call it December. We'll just call it December. I ditched everything. I ditched jobs, clients, everything, and wrapped it all up and went, screw it. I'm taking a leap. I'm doing my university and YouTube full time. And what's the worst that could happen? I could die. Spock. I've been dead before.
Right.
You have to watch the movie. Anyway, so I leaped into that and started putting everything together and doing that. And my wife, love my wife, man, 39 years. She went, yeah, go for it. You've been working your ass off. Oop. YouTube flag said S. You've been working your ass off. Go for it. And I was like, cool. So I did that. And anyway, never mind. I'm just gonna stop now. I did the full time thing, and then what was it? January or February was like COVID lockdown. Everybody's got to stay at home. Oh, I got to stay at home, and I was like,
right.
That's what I do. I'm cool. I am kind of done though. I really want to get out. I'm not paranoid. I'm not scared. I won't go to Portland. People from Portland, by the way, if you're doing whatever that crap is, stop it. So I'd like to get out. I'd like to get out of Portland. I'd like to go to Mount Hood and go up it. I think it's burned. And I'd like to get out and do some stuff. For my channel, I haven't seen yet, although you're going to be seeing some stuff coming within the next couple of months. My channel, they're like, boom. Spoilers. I'd like to get out, but for my channel, I don't, like, I guess if I'm doing a review of a slider, of course I'm going to go out and shoot epic shots and everything else, but most of the people that watch my channel are like, not in a bad way, I love basic questions. Like, I don't know how to work the white balance on my camera. I'm like, yes. So I don't have a lot to get out. You, on the other hand, your video's all about being out. So.
Yeah, and that's, thankfully, Alaska has had a fairly easy time with everything that's happened. Mm-hmm. Partly it's because we have tons of space to spread out, so social distancing is not really an issue for us. But also because our governor, he didn't lock things down, but they did start taking precautions pretty early on, which is good because Alaska is a major thoroughfare from any travel from Asia. But they never locked things down, like you can't go out of your house at all. It was still encouraging people to live healthy and exercise, but just to be safe about it and smart about it. And so it was the first year that, like, if you've seen some of my videos where I hike across a frozen lake to go sit in front of a glacier in the middle of winter, that is a fairly accessible place from here. It's about a 45-minute drive, and then it's a 3-mile walk across the lake, and then you're at the face of the glacier. The last time I was out there when the lake was frozen, I came back around the corner to head back and looked, and there was a line of people for all 3 miles across the lake, like, you know, all little groups all spread apart, but just all the way. I've never seen that many people walking across the lake to go do things. So people definitely got out to do stuff. But then, you know, for me, as I was, I'm not somebody like Gerald Undone, who can go into the most mind-boggling tech specs and talk about how a pixel relates to a white piece of paper on grayscale and how many dynamic stops that is. I mean, I just like, I watch some of his videos and I'm like, dude, this is a whole new level of tech
We all
review.
watched
Like
the A7S III and setting white balance and gray card stuff. I think anybody who did that watched that and just went, dude, you're at a whole realm of WTF.
I mean, it blew my mind. But at the same time, I was like, I mean, for me, anytime I'm looking for a review, I do watch Gerald's type reviews to find out. But then even when I was working in professional audio, you'd have salespeople come through and go, this thing is the greatest because it does this, 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 and this. And I'm like, yeah, but does it sound good? Like,
Correct.
does it sound good? Does it work well? Is it going to fit the need that I have? And so for me, going out and testing them, one, to the max environmentally, but also testing them out in real world tests, like, does it work? The A7S III, I fully expected it to be a fantastic video camera because that's its focus is video features. But then I went out and started taking photos with it, and I was like, dear Lord, for me, it's 5 to maybe 10% difference in the photos between the A7S III and the A7 III as far as quality. The A7 III has more detail. It's a larger megapixels, so the A7S III is a lot less, half the megapixels. But the way the photos look coming out of the A7S III, I really, really like them. I don't know if it's because I feel like they're more like film, like actual 35 millimeter film, or if they're clean. The colors are great. I mean, honestly, I was like, well, crap. I mean, I know I'm going to keep my A7 III because I need it for photos occasionally when I'm doing like corporate stuff or product stuff for a company. But the A7S III is the only camera I'm taking with me in my bag when I go out to do stuff now because it takes great photos. And yeah, exactly.
I don't know what they did with this. When I got my Canon 5D Mark III like 8 years ago, I paid like $4,000 for this thing. The thing that really impressed me is, yes, it shot video, and at the time it was awesome and epic. It was full frame and everything else. And this thing blows me away. I took it out. I'm not a photographer. I shot a bunch of just all on auto with this lens on here and this Metabones. I'm not supposed to call it an adapter. I'm supposed to call it a speed booster, apparently. And I shot a bunch of photos. And this thing it's like my 5D Mark III used to be. It's just freaking unbelievably awesome. I'm just like, wow. Hey, you want to see something cool?
Yes.
I've been getting questions about this and emails about this Restream thing. And if you're wondering about all this stuff, I'm still learning about it, and I'm going to do a review on this. If you look over here, wrong button. If you look over here, this is my feed. Like every comment, and I just learned this, every comment from YouTube, both YouTube channels, Twitter, Facebook, and everything else, shows up here. And I just learned this. I can go, I just ordered a motorized slider. Now you have me thinking about whether I should wait for whatever you're hinting at. And check this out. Reply. You should. And it goes out, and it goes, check, reached over there, on there. Now, this is from Basic Filmmaker channel. Here's Unscripted. See that? Anyway, yep. I'm impressed with this thing.
That is cool.
I'm really impressed with this product. We got together with Restream. I started talking to them. They went, hey, well, let's do this. Well, let's try it. I'm like, I don't see the benefit of this. I got into this. Their software. I learned it over the past couple of weeks. I did a test, as you saw before. And again, I'm not sitting here going, they gave me something, and therefore I should promote it. Stop that crap, you guys. Just stop that. You have a camera and they gave it to you, so you're going to promote it. Just stop it. This thing's the bomb. I'm going to do a video review. But anyway, there were some comments about blah, blah, and this is happening and that's happening, and you should have multiple screens open and everything else. I don't need to do that, and that's the bomb. You'll see this later, and if it's right for you, fine. By the way, it's free. Great. It sounds like I'm promoting or doing a promotion for this. I'm just telling you this thing's cool. All right, enough of that. This thing, tell me, I have questions for you, sir.
Yes.
I have the MetaBones Speed Booster. It's an adapter, right? You can correct me on that in a minute. When I am shooting on video, this guy, the camera, oh, I should do this because nobody can see what I'm doing. This guy, right? I turn it on. I should be able to look through this thing, and I should be able to tap the autofocus, and it should just sit there and focus. Correct? In video mode.
Yes.
Oh. Well.
But
maybe...
you might have to. You'll have to turn the functionality on in the menu.
Oh.
Because mine was off by default.
Yeah, I had this thing on and I went into video mode, and I'm sitting here now going, hey, I want you to autofocus on that, and it just looks at me and says, hey, I don't give a crap. So then I went, oh crap, does that mean the speed booster and the autofocus doesn't work? Well, that's not true, because when I'm in camera mode, it's like boom. You can't. Here, let's do it this way. This is why I love this camera. Like, boom, focused. Boom, focused. But it doesn't do that in movie mode.
So, okay, can you hit the function button real quick? Wait, let me see. Yeah, hit the function button. Yeah.
Boop.
And then go over to MF.
Can't see what I'm doing. MF. Where in the hell? This is a brand new camera, dudes. I don't know anything about this.
Over one and up one.
Up. Here? Here.
Yes, and then over to the left one.
One
more? Can you click on that?
Oh, no!
Oh, no. Wait, your lens isn't in manual focus, right? The switch on the lens? No?
Autofocus.
Oh, that's
Stabilizer
weird.
off. IBIS on off here. Oh, no. This.
Huh.
Don't tell me I have to sell. I mean, I'm okay with it. The whole idea of this was I have about, not a lot, maybe a couple $1,000 in glass.
Yeah.
And the whole idea was I don't want to buy Sony glass and then I have to sell this stuff, or maybe I keep it because I already have other Canons, blah, 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 and I don't need to invest $3,500 in this camera and another couple $1,000 in glass. I will if I have to. I need to check this with some other lenses, maybe my 50 and my 85 primes, to see if that's the problem or the case. If that is the case, I either need MetaBones to step up, or I need B&H to say, I know you've had this MetaBones adapter for 2 months, but I haven't been able to use it till you just shipped this camera to me a week ago, and it doesn't work with these lenses. I may have to return it. That sucks. I thought it was user error because I tried that and I was like, huh? Oh. Hey, Canon users, remember how I said everything works? It doesn't, at least with this lens. Anyway, now I'm going to complain.
Let's complain about that.
The other thing is the button on the side. Golly. So yeah, thank you for that little tutorial. I have to research that some more and possibly contact Metabones. Looking through the comments here, see if there's anything else going on. Motorized slider. I would wait on any motorized slider that you're thinking about. Period. Don't buy it. If you got one on order, cancel it. How's that? What? The Sony doesn't have a touchscreen? Oh yeah, it does. I'm sorry. Yes, Captain Jack. It does have a touchscreen, and it works marvelously. Let's go into the, go into the function menu. Yeah, I can tap stuff and touch stuff and do junk and all that kind of crap. So yeah, it's a great touchscreen. It really is. It works. And it doesn't overheat. And it keeps running after 30 minutes.
Yes.
Poor Canon. I love Canon. I said this in my other long-winded ASMR video going over the outside of this thing. I love Canon. If you're going to buy a cinema camera, do it. The C200, the C100 even, the C500, they're freaking awesome. The new C70 looks great. Yeah, get them. I'm just a little, and it's not like I'm pissed at Canon. I'm just disappointed with Canon that they would come out with a camera that is blocked at 30 minutes, shut down in 2020, unlike every other freaking camera that doesn't do that anymore. I'm a little disappointed that, I don't know if it's the engineer's fault or whatever, and some CEO at Canon's going, you freaking idiots, did you actually do that? Where you find out it shuts down, overheating, somebody goes into the camera, they find out it's actually not based on the heating sensor, it's based upon something else, they come up with it. I was just done. I'm out. I saw this. Jake told me to buy it or he'd punch me in the face. And I did. I'm so happy. Anyway, I went ranty.
So next I'm going to tell you which lenses to buy, right? Is that the...
I was going to ask you about that. Again. You want to talk about Canon? I will nail down every good, bad, indifferent, plus, minus on those cameras, their lenses and everything else. In Sony, somebody goes, yeah, you should buy a G lens. And I'm like, what the hell is a G lens? I have no idea. So at some point,
it's expensive.
Yeah, at some point, yeah, it's kind of like, you should buy a Canon a7sIII lens.
Yeah. I think the Sony GM lenses or G Master lenses are equivalent to Canon's L series lenses. It's the high end optics, the high end everything else.
Okay.
I have one GM lens. It's the 24mm 1.4, and the only reason I have that lens is specifically to go out and film the aurora this winter. And it's because it has the aperture of 1.4. It's one of the most sharpest and wider Sony lenses available. And it has really good chroma control for astrophotography and stuff like that. On anything else, I use the Tamron lenses because you can buy basically all three Tamron lenses of like the Holy Trinity. So you have like 17 to 28, 28 to 75, and 70 to 180. So it's kind of like your 15 to 35, 24 to 70, 70 to 200 equivalents for about the same cost as one G Master 70 to 200 lens would be, because they're all like $2,300, $2,400, $2,500, whereas each of the Tamron lenses are usually around the $700 to $800 mark. So that's, now there's trade-offs. You don't get image stabilization built into the lenses, which is less of an issue with the a7S III because it has the active steady shot, and you can do the gyro stabilization in post if you want to. And yeah, so that's, if you are going to go out and buy lenses for Sony right now and you wanted to not spend $8,000 or $9,000 on lenses, then I would look at the Tamron lenses for Sony, because One thing most people don't know is Sony has a um, it's not a majority stake, but they have a large ownership of Tamron.
Oh, I didn't know
And
that.
so they share information as far as the Tamron lenses autofocus. It works exactly like a Sony native lens because they share the information. And if the Sony lens is made in, let's see, I think it's Taiwan, Japan, or there's one other place. It is made by Tamron. It's a Tamron factory that builds Sony lenses for Sony.
Hmm.
So there's a really tight partnership there, and that's why I'm kind of like, I'm honest, and honestly, like my 17 to 28, even though I got a lot of hate comments on it when I did my review and comparison against the Sony G Master, I'm like, here's an $800 lens that's a wide zoom lens at f2.8 fixed all the way through. And then here is a $2,600 wide zoom lens at f2.8. The cheaper one is sharper, corner to corner, wide open, and at the wide zoom end, which it has less distortion
Hmm.
than the $2,600 one. A lot of people were telling me I was wrong and that I was crazy and other mean things that people say when they feel personally attacked by you saying a piece of gear is not as good as they think it is or something like that. But then everybody who downloaded the raw files that I gave was like, oh yeah, you're right. It does look better than the G Master. And so, yeah, it just,
I've talked about this too many times and shouldn't talk about it anymore, but I probably will. This, I mean, guys, probably no one here, but other guys who watch this later who do this, look, if you're sitting there and you're like, and you're going to send an email, write a letter, make a phone call, leave a comment, just back the F away. Just stop. This thing, just stop. Here's what happens is you look like a freaking idiot and a fool every time. Well, if you had just done this, Jake, and that's kind of stupid, Jake, and you're like reacting. You're just being a doofus, and nobody freaking cares, and nobody's listening to you. When you're pissed off or you're reacting to something, just walk away. Okay? Thank you. Endeth the sermeth ith from Kevin ith, or Levin. There. I ranted. I'm done. More comments. Hey, I was going to stop this in an hour. I don't know if you got to do anything. This is great. I'm fascinated. I'm learning stuff. If you're okay to go on.
Yeah, I'm having a blast. I might have
Me
to
too.
maybe in 30 to 45 minutes, I might have to check out,
Okay.
but for now I'm having a blast. It's fun hanging out.
It
I
is.
look forward to the day when we can all do things again and like the next NAB or whatever. Like I really want to go to some of those things, not because I care about any of the gear, but just specifically because I want to meet people like you and
Totally.
other creators that I've been talking to on Twitter and on YouTube and stuff now for years and have never actually met in person.
Totally. I went to NAB and it's cool as hell. And I don't go to NAB because, well, it's cool. And you get to go to Las Vegas. Not that I like Las Vegas. I don't dislike Las Vegas. It's a cool place. You see some really weird crap there. But in the convention hall, there's like 100,000 people in there. And I got to meet up with Ted from Aperture, a bunch of guys from Aperture, and that's where I met II Footage, not makers of anything that's coming out soon. Man, I'm gonna get slammed if I ain't careful. The whole like, see now okay, I'm gonna stop talking. And I met Deity and Andrew and these guys, and then I met Dave Andrade. I met Curtis there and his brother. So many people. I got invited to a dinner, and I was hanging out with. I think Gerald was there. Ryan Conley was there. Darius Britt was there, and this was years ago. And at the time, I was like, "Well, who the hell decided to invite little old me to this thing? I mean, these guys are giants." And like any other YouTuber, they're kind, they're real, and they're awesome to hang out with. I think I ate lunch with Curtis. No, Dave Dugdale. Met him, had some lunch. It is so much freaking fun. to hang out with these guys. I totally get what you're saying. It's just I just want to meet these people, and hang out, and not this way. No offense. More comments.
Yeah.
Oh,
me too.
We got Tommy Galloway in here.
I saw that.
And we got Andre. Sorry I'm late. Yeah, we had roll call at 9 a.m., Tommy. Actually, that's not true because we failed. Tommy's great. If you don't know Tommy, for any of you in here, he's all about lighting, and rightly so. He's got a great channel. You should check him out. You should check all these guys out that are in here. A lot of these guys in here are just guys I really want to meet. Worth it or not, I need to download your OBS software redo as it looks fantastic. Hopefully it's an easy add-on. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm doing a, I don't mean this as a sell job because I'm not trying to sell you anything, and I hate trying to sell people stuff, and I don't want to do that. But I do have an OBS course I'm working on. It is being worked on. It's not done, and you can do some crazy stuff. One of the things you do is I allowed you to download, courtesy of Nay from Interactive DNA, I allow you to download this little guy, which is free. Let me show you this guy. Boop. And comments off. And what happens is you just simply install this dude, and it turns OBS from what you usually get, which is either this god-awful thing, or this god-awful thing, to that, or that, or I really have a problem seeing this, that. Now, if that isn't cool as hell, I don't know what to tell you. That's just, I mean, look at this thing. Anyway, not a sales job. That's in the OBS course. It's available now. It's at a reduced price, and I sound like I'm doing a commercial, and I don't mean to. The answer to that is go there. Enroll in the course. It's $39 and download it. Done. Thank you very much. And now, that sounded like a commercial. I hate doing crap like that. Anyway, what do we got? Tommy Calloway. They're not talking about lights. We're not doing that. We're talking about cameras, because cameras are most important. Because with the own Sony a7sIII, it has $409,000 ISO, which means you don't need any light. Please.
That's true. You literally need zero light to be able to use this camera.
Correct. You could turn off all the lights and just shoot a normal, awesome episode without lights. You know, Tommy is like just dying right now. If some of you are watching and you're new to this, that is a total lie and not true. There are things that you need to make good videos. Go shoot. Don't care about everything else. But as you up your game, number one important thing in my book is your audio. You can have crappy video and good audio and get by with it. You can have great video and crappy audio and no. The second thing, all your problems with white balance and this and blah, 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 is lighting. Just get some lights. Buy $6 can lights at Home Depot or Lowe's. Buy some $9 LEDs. And set them up 1, 2, 3 over you and play with it and learn it, and then go out and buy $1,000 in lights. So audio, lights. And the third thing, if you can do all that with your phone or with your $100 camera or whatever, then you could go out and buy an expensive camera and lenses and stuff and make it good. And here endeth sermon number 42 from Kev. Ask Jake about the highest CPM he's ever seen on a Filmmaker video. That's from Tommy Calloway. Hey, Jake. Tell me about the highest CPM you've ever seen on a Filmmaker video. I don't know what he's talking about, or if he's trying.
One of your videos?
Oh, one of mine?
I use
I'll
YouTube
answer
Red,
the
so I don't have to
question.
see any ads. I don't know.
I'll answer the question. Some people may be, oh, that's kind of low. And some people may be, holy crap. You don't have to answer this, Jake. You can go, no comment, and everybody can just F off.
Well, I was trying to... Is there a way I can look at that in my analytics?
Yes, if you go to the YouTube analytics and you go all time and you go revenue, or maybe that won't show it.
Oh, there we go. Yep. Let's see.
Don't have to share this. It's nobody's freaking business. And I think Tommy's trying to troll us. Hey, Tommy, leave a comment.
Well,
Tommy, you first, Tommy. What's the highest CPM you've ever seen on one of your videos?
And then we'll did answer that.
Did he?
Yes, he did.
Oh, I'm not. I'm way up in the comments. Keep going.
He and I had a conversation about this. One of his videos, which is one of his less viewed videos, has $135 CPM.
What?
It's $135 CPM.
Wait, what?
Right? And it's not one of his highest viewed videos, but it's like, it is one of the, I'm assuming it's one of the few videos that has hit a super target that, certain advertisers want that target, I guess.
Now, I've been told by my wife to not do this. It's not like she runs my life. Okay, she runs my life, but she's brilliant. She's got an IQ of like 1,000,000. She's like, hey, stay out of the analytics, stay out of the money. You're building this all up. At the end of the month, see how much you made and go, okay, did you change anything to make it go down? No. Is it going up? Then just stop it and just keep making videos and courses. She's really good about this. So if she's watching this and she sees me go into these analytics and start multi-picking away all this stuff, she's probably going to facepalm herself. So if I go to analytics and I go to what? Revenue?
Yep.
Revenue.
So like my highest CPM on a video that I've got right now, which is, oh, that's not a video I would have expected that on, but it's about $30 for playback-based CPM.
Playback-based CPM.
So if you go to revenue and then you click on top earning videos, click see more.
Top earning videos, see more.
And then on just below, above the graph there, you see your estimated revenue by video. If you click on that and go playback and add playback-based CPM.
Wait, what? Oh, your estimated playback.
There's a little like drop-down
CPM?
metric.
Playback,
yeah, and then if you can just scroll down, you can see this, and then next to your estimated monetized playback column will be a playback-based CPM column.
And do I do lifetime?
I did, yeah.
Okay, let me do lifetime. Let me check it out.
And then you just scroll down until you find the highest number. I can't figure out a way to sort it by.
Wow. Playback CPM. Scroll. Yeah, it doesn't sort. That's stupid.
I know, right? I'm like, it should sort. You should be able to click on one of those fields and have it sort according to.
Yeah, all mine. What is this little dot? Either cost per mile or blah 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 blah. Wow. Mine suck. 17, 14, 16, 13, 10, 15, 17, 16. What video was that? What'd you say? $30 or something like that? Dude?
Yeah, 30.
What video was that?
That was my LoomCube 2.0 review.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which is odd. But whatever. I like that video.
Yeah,
I didn't expect it to perform as well as it's performed.
I'm surprised at this. Generally, I'm hitting about between $10 and $20 per video on playback-based CPM. Maybe I'm not looking at this analytic, right?
No, that's what I'm looking at.
Yeah, I don't see anything that's high. Now, granted, I have some videos that really surprise me at what they make. I have a video that generates, well, let's look at the last 28 days. Wow, how'd we get into analytics and money? Oh, thanks, Tommy. You know, I have a video that generates me about between about $200 and $500 a month. One video.
Based on views? That's pretty good.
It's awesome. I am confused. This thing gets 20 to 50,000 monetized playback every month.
Wow.
I get a premium revenue, transaction revenue. I don't know what I'm looking at here. Yeah, that one video accounts for probably 80%, 75% of what I make. All the others are like, you know, it's a great video. Then there's another video that has 500,000 views, and it makes me some $10. Some chump change.
Isn't it just bizarre how that works? Like,
it's advertisers going out, going, I want to place on this other video. It's a minute and a half or 2 minutes. They don't care. This other video I have, I keep telling YouTubers this: just make videos and put them up. Go, 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 go. I put it up. It got 100 or 200 views for the first, maybe a month, for the first couple of years, and then it went boom, and it's been like this ever since. Just keeps going, and I make a lot of money off it. So just make videos. And there are videos on here I'm like, wow, this is a great freaking video. And it makes me pennies every month. And this goes up and down. Anyway, I don't want to get into the whole YouTube thing. Thanks, Tommy.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Tommy.
Bastard.
That's like, I've got a few videos like that. I put them together, like I was happy with it, and I thought, oh, it's a cool video. It's going to get nothing as far as views go. One of them was my LoomCube 2.0 video. I was like, who doesn't know about LoomCubes now? And who is searching for LoomCubes on the internet? Mm-hmm. Like, they've done a good job of marketing. It, like, since I posted, it's got 15,000 something views, and it just steadily every single month brings in a decent amount of views, which just blows me away. And then the other one was my a7 III review in 2020. When I put that together, I was like, this is dumb. The camera's been out for 2 years. If you haven't seen a YouTube video about it by now, you just probably haven't been walking on the planet Earth yet.
Yeah.
But it has gotten, what, 45,000 views in the last 2 months or whatever since I posted it. Yeah, 2 months.
It's insane. And by the same token, I did a Sony a7sIII, basically a walkthrough from a 10-year Canon user. That was posted October 7th, and it hasn't even reached 1,000 views.
See, that's just...
I got all the right keywords, all the right blah, blah, blah. It does not... It's like whatever. I don't know. But I'm going to leave it there. It may be a week or a month or a year or 2 years, like a couple of my other videos. They all of a sudden go, oh, boop. You don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway.
That was like me with the Shure 50mm anamorphic lens. Because I posted that, like, I bought the lens and posted it. I did get on the Kickstarter on that one. And for like 3 months, it did almost nothing. And then all of a sudden, something happened where it was just like, and it's been a steady, a couple thousand views a month kind of video. Yeah. And the only reason I can think of is that there were no views because the only people that had gotten the lens at that point were the Kickstarter people. And then when B&H and Amazon and everybody else started carrying it, that's when all of a sudden the views started going up because people were then looking to research about that lens. And
I keep trying to hammer this into my new YouTube Academy students. Time for another commercial. Beep, done. And these guys, it's like your only job when you're a smaller channel is to make videos. Just make a video and
Yeah.
post it. Make a video and post it. Another. Forget how it looks. Forget whether it's bad. Learn the chops. Learn how to upload. Learn how to title. Make thumbnails. Just keep making videos. Because frankly, this whole secret follow the algorithm, and it's just a bunch of blah blah. Just make the videos, title them, thumbnail them, put in the description, put in the keywords, upload it, release it, and make the next one. And if you keep doing that, YouTube's going to peek over the wall after a week or a month or a year and go, oh, you're making a lot of videos. Let's start promoting those. And you don't know what's going to take off. Michael Finn. He's a guy here with, I don't know if it's 30 or 15K. I don't know how many subscribers he has. He makes these videos about birds, and he talks over it, and then he shows bird pictures and talks over it. And he'll get 30 views or 50 views or 150 views. He put up a video one time about this wildlife crossing thing. It has millions of views. You don't know. Anyway, that's a whole YouTube thing. Dave Barry, Savannah, Georgia. Dude, I used to live in Georgia. You love us both. Thank you. I want to go back to this now that we've all latched on to the subject of money, which no one cares about except all of us. Tommy Calloway, $135 CPM on that video about music for videos, though. That's bigger than the finance. Do I have this right? He's getting $135 CPM on this video. Is that correct?
Yep. That's correct. So whatever that is, like, whatever CPM, it's based on 1,000 views, isn't it? 1,000 views.
I think it's clicks per million, per clicks per 1,000. Excuse me.
Yeah.
That's insane, dude. That's insane. I'm gonna go. I need to know. Can you, Tommy? I think you can do this. I'm not sure. Can you paste the link to that video? Because I want to watch this. Not that I'm gonna analyze it or copy it. I'm just gonna start a new channel, download it, and put it on. I'm just kidding. Don't do that crap. I want to see this. That's insane. Z6 Mark II comes, but out next week. If they only add a flip out screen, keep everything else the same, it's going to be so freaking good. They're going to make a lot of changes, though, I imagine. I don't know anything about it. Jake, you?
So the only thing I don't know anything about the rumors about the new Z6, or yeah, Z6, right? No, Z7, whatever it is. Z6 Mark II. But I do know the Z6 is a super solid camera, a really good performer. It's like the a7 III, but Nikon. It's Nikon's counterpart to the a7 III. Mm-hmm. So I think if they do things like Tommy's saying, they put a flip out screen on it and a couple of other good features. I mean, like the Z6 now shoots 4K 60. It's full frame, and it does shoot 10-bit, or maybe it's only 4K 30. But it's a great camera, and it has good autofocus and stuff like that. I think it's one of those things where the legacy companies, or legacy might not be the right word, but like Canon, Nikon, who've kind of owned the photography space for decades, mm-hmm. are having trouble adapting to the way things work now. Like they're sticking with their old business model, their thing that has worked for them for decades. And now everything is shifting with mirrorless cameras coming in and with smaller, lighter weight bodies, with higher performance sensors. And the way they're being marketed via YouTube and others through influencers online and stuff. And I feel like Nikon and Canon are having trouble adapting to our modern world in that regard.
Absolutely. I got to give a little shout out here. There's this guy named Terry Warfield who just joined. What's up, Terry? Boom! I love Terry. Another YouTuber you should go look at and subscribe to. He's a beast at making videos. He lives in the East, and he's great. He's just freaking great, man. Great sense of humor. Good guy. You should go check him out. Welcome, Terry. You're awesome, dude. What else we got? Don't buy cheap lights from Tommy Calloway. I agree. If you're learning, whatever. That's just me. You can go out and spend $3,000 on lights, and that's great. I'm just saying there are people that don't have some money, and they want to make videos. They can go to Home Depot and buy these things, these little cheap $6 can lights with some bulbs in them, and learn how to light with that. And then when you go out and buy your Aperture or your Godox or whatever lights, you've already played. Because think about it. There are people, especially watching my channel, you say key light, fill light, hair light, and they're like, what? What's a key and a fill? I don't understand. Play with it and learn the terminology, and then buy good lights. That's my opinion. Tommy Calloway, you can post links on his unscripted channel. Oh, yeah. Sorry, I should have the chat up and make everybody in here an admin. Captain Jack, selling merch is the best way to fight YouTube. Oh, this is from Interactive DNA to Captain Jack. Embed commercials in the videos. YouTube cannot do anything about it, like what Kevin is doing with Restream. I don't know what that's all about. I'm just restreaming because I like it. Selling merch is the best way to fight YouTube. Embed commercials on the videos. I missed the original thing. Jake Sloan. Relying on ads is the last thing anyone should do for making income off of YouTube. True that. It is the lowest source of return on investment as far as how much you get back for how much you put in. Yeah. I mean, come on, guys. It's like no secret. I make money what I'm doing. Do I make as much money as I used to? No. Will I? Yes. And I do that by having a YouTube channel, by using ad revenue from YouTube, which is like, whee, by having the university and having what I think are really awesome courses, both free and paid, by having affiliate links. And if there's anybody in here who think it's okay or not okay for someone who's busting their ass to make money doing YouTube videos, I gotta say, you can just bleep the hell off right now and go start a YouTube channel and invest 40 or 60 or 80 or 100 hours of your life into making YouTube videos and tell me that you shouldn't make anything about it. Better yet, this is a rant, and I'll get off it in 10 seconds. You go to your job, and at the end of the week, have everybody look around at you in your company and go, oh, you get paid for that? Yeah, you shouldn't get paid for that. The company just bought you. Just stop. Thank you. Rant over. Jake Sloan just posted what I believe is that Tommy's video?
Yeah, that's the video Tommy was talking
My
about.
wife got a notification on her business page.
Why Artlist.io is actually the best music
though,
service for YouTube. It's only got 6,000 views. Hey, I gotta go. I'm gonna go make an Artlist. Joking. I'm not gonna do that. I may.
I keep thinking I need to, because I am an affiliate for them.
Me too.
But I just put a link in my video description. I haven't ever done anything specific. But I think what I'm going to do is because they do sound effects now too. Mm-hmm. And so I thought, it'd be a cool way to do it is go do a drone video and then create a soundscape using sound effects and music from Artlist.
Wait, let me hold on 1 second.
You taking notes so you can do that?
A drone video. Just joking.
If you just wait till I post it and then you can just rip it off YouTube and repost it, then
on another channel.
Yeah.
Oh well. It would have to be a monetized channel, though. Damn it. I'm the same way. I will probably make a video at some point for Artlist. Not because Tommy did, not because he's getting CPM. And by the way, all you new to YouTubers watching, if you're going down that road, be prepared for huge disappointment. I'm not going to tell you what video. I once went through and went, this person made a popular video like this. I'm going to test for my Academy members making nearly the same video. Yeah, it was me. It was different. It was all my own opinions and everything else. And I'm going to do tags just like that. And it bombed. doesn't work. If you try and make a video like someone else's video, thinking it will be popular or viral or you'll make money, just don't freaking do it. Thank you. Man, I'm ranty today. Damn.
Yeah. I mean, everybody needs a good rant every now and then. I was thinking I did it on purpose too last year sometime.
Mm-hmm.
I think I went and I made a video that was pretty close to exactly the same as somebody else's video, just because I wanted to see what would happen, if YouTube would suggest it or anything like that. I mean, obviously I filmed everything. I did all that part. But I used a similar looking thumbnail and all this other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It did terrible. And then I made another video about same thing, but just me doing it more my angle, my thumbnail, whatever. And that video did way, way better.
You know what we're going to do sometime, maybe in 2021, is I'm going to take a plate shot. If you don't know what a plate shot is, by the way, it's a picture of everything back here without me in it. We're going to set up this live stream, and I'm going to come visit you. And we're going to be sitting there, and I'm going to use a plate shot behind me, and when I do this, I'm going to poke you on the shoulder. Wouldn't it be fun?
That would be fun.
Tommy says, I don't know if it's because Artlist and music specifically, and maybe all the competing companies are targeting it or what. Great service that I love, and it converts well as an affiliate too. Yeah, that actually may be the answer. Is there are a lot of music companies, Soundstripe, Artlist. I haven't seen much from Premium Beat, which is weird because they're freaking awesome. I should say frickin'. It sounded in my head like I said something else. There's a couple others, and it may be a competition for ad space. It may be. Look, if you're running a YouTube channel, please, for all that is holy, don't chase the money. If you chase the passion and the this and the value and helping others, the money will eventually, in a month or a year or 8 years, follow. If you chase the money, maybe you'll be successful. You're in for a huge disappointment. See, I am just freaking ranty. You know what it is? I only had 1 cup of coffee. Tommy needs
that's
a blue
the problem
wrench.
right there.
All right. I need to go to... I can't believe we're still streaming here and people are still here. Just unbelievable to me. Yeah, I need to give Tommy a blue wrench. I thought I did, but I can't. It's another thing I can report back to Restream. Hey, how do I wrench someone? Let me pull down this.
Right.
Reply. I can block. No. The labor to serve his wages. 1 Timothy 5:18. I don't know what that is. Is that a Bible reference? I don't know.
I would assume it is.
You get, yeah, no kidding. You get a blue wrench, and you get a blue wrench, and you get a blue wrench. Yeah. Interactive DNA, blah, 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 blah. Third hour wisdom, sunrise water media. That's what I'm here for. Jake? Okay, we're going to bail on the comments for a minute. Because I had a question for you, sir. You have the Sony a7sIII. You also have the Sony a7III?
Yep.
Now, just a quick question. The A3 is basically a photography camera. It shoots 24 or 60 or whatever. And the a7S III is, for our purposes, basically a video camera. Is that correct?
Well, sort of. So in Sony, they do the S series, used to stand for sensitivity. I think it probably still does. But it's the S series is the video focused cameras.
Mm-hmm.
The R series is the photography focused cameras. They still have video features, just like the S series has photo features.
Mm-hmm.
The 7 III was kind of the in between. Like it did both pretty equally well. So not insanely high. What, did I lose my connection?
You look like you're frozen, but I can still hear
okay.
you.
That's a really good look for me, frozen right there, half
awesome.
blink.
I love that. Let's make sure things are still working
So
here.
the a7 III is kind of the hybrid camera that does both pretty well. So it does really great photos, great video. It doesn't do as well at video as the S series. It doesn't do as well at photos as the R series, but it's just kind of the all around. I think it's one of the all around best hybrid cameras for both photo and video work because it does both so well, and you can just flip the switches and go back through it.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Wow.
yeah.
I love the thing I don't, and I'm going to show you this. See, it sounds like we're doing a commercial again. There you are. What'd you just do?
I just turned off my video and turned it back on. I don't know why I did that.
Interesting. One thing I hate about live streaming, and this is just something to contend with. I've got the setup so OBS does not fail. Oh, I just lost you again, Jake. Can we still hear you? Whoop, there you are. And using Restream, been totally successful. These services like Skype and Zoom and stuff like that you tie in, you're at their whim. If they go down, if they have a hiccup, all I can say is just keep going. Trevor Bagnell. Now, message retracted. If you don't know what that's about, this guy is so funny. He was on a live stream months ago and message retracted, and I was poking him about, oh, what'd you say there? Did you swear or say something bad or whatever? And ever since then, every time he's in a live stream on Curtis or wherever, he comes in and says message retracted, because he started doing message retracted and he was trolling me and I didn't know. So that's funny. Jake Sloan, you look stoned. That on that photo. Let's be clear about this.
Right. When I was frozen.
Oh, these polar bears are That's it. The polar bears were chewing on the internet again, dude. Anyway, anything else you'd like to tell me? I don't know if you know what I'm going to do, and I've said this before, and then I'll quit talking and let you talk for a while. Because you probably, or maybe I should talk, because you probably need to go to the bathroom or get more coffee. I am going to follow my own advice on this camera, which is, again, I don't know this ecosystem. I'm going to go through and review all the menus and what they mean. And it's going to be a long video. It's going to be freaking boring. And I don't freaking care. Because that way, like my Canon 5D that I made a video about 7 years ago, that way I learned the camera. Anyway, wow, it says 11:19. Do you need to take a break or do you need to go?
I will need to go in about 10 minutes.
10 minutes. Please remind me, because as everyone knows here, trigger me, get me on a rant, whatever. I can keep talking. Kevin pushing view and watch time with this strategy. Huh. I don't need views and watch time on my main channel. Oh, by the way, I have, and I keep popping this up, I'm just testing this little super chat thing down there. I do not want you to feel obligated. I'm more testing the automatic play OBS thing that I set up and then it disappears. If you have done a super chat on my main channel and I didn't see it, or I didn't say thank you, please comment so I know, because I'm debugging this system or whatever. If no one has done a chat, which is fine, I really need to have these other chat windows open. If whoever you are, I'll even pay you back. Throw $1 or $1 or whatever it is in there, or $2.01. I'll PayPal you back so I can see that it works over here. If you want me, just contact me via email. I'll just PayPal you back. I want to see that works in Restream when you super chat on my main channel. If I missed you, please all caps shout out over here, because I'm debugging this thing and making sure it all works. That I don't need your super chats. I don't need the money. I do appreciate it beyond words. I'm just trying to test the system out to make sure that that works. Okay? Okay. Good. Super chat not enabled on unscripted, Tommy. Correct. It's on my main channel. That's because I don't have 1,000 subscribers and I don't have, maybe I have the watch time over there. Tommy Calloway, $2 USD. And did it show up on the chat? Dude, fabulous, fantastic. Well, that proves that. So that works, and it shows up in the comments, and it shows up over here, right? Let me check this out for a second, because I can't read these little suckers. Huh. Awesome. Thank you, Tommy. If you want that money back, let me know. Seriously. Thank you. So that works. Jake, what's your, I know my opinion. What's your opinion? Like, you have the a7S III. Is this like you're done? That's your camera?
I think this is my A camera for probably the next 3 to 5 years. Mm-hmm. And this goes into like Canon with the R5 release and stuff. I think they made a huge PR mistake when they leaked and kind of hyped the video features, because it's really not a video camera. It's a photography camera. It's a fantastic photography camera with video features. But then the other limitations and the overheating issues really killed all of their hype. And then Sony was smart enough to wait until after to release the a7S III. And basically all they had to do is go, our camera doesn't overheat and it doesn't stop at 30 minutes. And they won that, like, hands down. But for me, yeah, I don't see 8K being a necessity anytime in the next 3 to 4 years. I think maybe after that, maybe it will be. But right now, if you shoot 8K, even shooting 4K in some of the higher quality in the a7S III, like my pretty specced out 16-inch MacBook Pro it starts to bog down, and I have to start using proxies and stuff like that. I can only imagine that editing 8K would be like just would probably kill my computer. Plus, it would destroy any storage I've got, because I keep pretty much everything I shoot. But so yeah, I think this is the camera for me for the next 3 to 5 years. I think probably if Sony releases the a7 IV next year, and if it has some of the improvements that I hope, I will probably sell my a7 III and maybe get that. But only really, I mean, that I'm still super happy with that camera. It takes great photos, and it's a good video backup camera for the a7, the a7R or the a7S III. I don't, unless they make some substantial improvements beyond just like adding a flip screen and maybe a little bit better color science, I don't see myself upgrading there either.
That was
except for that,
question.
it would get views and clicks on YouTube if I did and made videos about it.
That's another question I was going to ask you, because I haven't gotten into this again. I have, among other things, let's not go into all my backgrounds, but one of my backgrounds is as an engineer. Very methodical about how I learn things. I don't go past words that I don't understand. I don't go back concepts I understand. I look at a camera and I see, I'm making this up, AF on. Maybe that's autofocus on. I just said maybe that means I don't know it. I will look into it and research it. So I'm doing this. One of the things I haven't looked into is the Canon color science is awesome and everybody blah, 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 blah. And you come from a Canon background. Is it like, I have an a7S III. Do I really care? Am I going to be sitting there looking at my Canon 5D Mark III and going here? I don't think so from what I've seen, and go, ooh, everything's off. I don't think that's true. What's your opinion?
My opinion is, and this comes from my philosophy with audio production as well, there's 2% of the population who can spot the difference. And those 2% of the population are the ones who make all the fuss about it. 98% of the people they don't care about the difference. What
Right.
they care about is if they like what they're seeing or they don't. They like the story or they don't. They like the music or they don't. Or having this argument with people with sound equipment, with microphones and stuff like that. They'd be like, this is so much better than this and all that. And I'm saying, yeah, but in the end, it's going to be listening to somebody's MP3 file on an iPod through $10 crappy headphones.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter. Like, I have a microphone that's one of 200 in the entire world. It was built and custom made and designed by one of the last living Neumann engineers, who is no longer alive. That's why there's only a couple hundred. And it is an incredible microphone. But by the time you put it down on an iPod through a $10 set of headphones, you can't tell the difference between that and a $200 microphone that you buy at Best Buy.
And like your bass, when you ship that bass to me, make sure to include that microphone. Joking. I'm glad to hear that, and you make such a point. Again, look, if I'm shooting a commercial for, I almost lost hundreds of thousands of dollars by saying something. If I'm shooting a commercial for, this is all pretend, I'm making this up. If I'm shooting commercial for BMW, let's say, 30-second commercial, you bet your butt I am concerned about skin tones, the color of the car, the way it looks, the lighting, the reflections in the side of the car. There's no like, oh, the boom guy was in the reflection of the car. I'm concerned all about it. When I'm shooting frickin' YouTube videos or I'm shooting my own video, don't worry about it. Like, if you're sitting there, I did a test. If you search through some of my old videos, you'll see this really old video that sucks. And I'm talking about, it was like a Q&A, and I talking about the sword up here or something. And I purposely set this thing to awful yellow. Like, I color corrected it to see if anybody would say anything. Not a word from anybody. What happens is when you're watching something about 5 seconds to 30 seconds in, your eyeballs adjust. That's why when you're inside and you're looking at a 23 or 3000K light bulb that's very yellow, then you walk outside and it's sunshine, your eyes adjust like that. When you're watching something, unless they intended it to be really that way, they're going to adjust. So to sit here and be super concentrated and watch videos on whether you have whether you used an 18 or an 18.5% white card balance, unless you're making high-end stuff or you really care and it's a hobby, forget it. Just, you don't freaking care, and nobody else does. That's my 10th freaking rant today. What the?
I'm good at getting you to rant on stuff,
You
I guess.
trigger me, man. What the hell? I should laugh. Okay, there. I'm better.
Yeah. So, and my philosophy on that is this. It was I made a review about the Mavic Air 2, and it was kind of clickbaity, but my title is like, it's great, but I'm not keeping it. And the whole reason I didn't keep it is because it didn't have 10-bit color. And every now and then I work with people up here that require me to be able to deliver them content in ungraded 10-bit color because they want to grade it post. And that's the thing with anytime you're doing the higher end productions, you're almost always going to be shooting it in some sort of log so that it can be color graded in post, partly so it can match whatever else they've used or shot with.
Correct.
And then partly because they want the most amount of flexibility to be able to work with that footage in post anyway. Mm-hmm. YouTube, I shoot in 10-bit, but I use the baked-in colors here. And I think the difference between the two different cameras now is so minimal as far as the systems. Like back in the day, there was a big difference. Sony had color issues when it first started. Canon has been around long enough. They've always had really fantastic straight out of camera colors. But even with Canon, the times that I've shot for larger clients has always been shot in log in a flat color profile so that whatever they want to do with it in post, they can do with it in post. And I think, I don't think I don't think color science matters as much as people say it does anymore. And I think it comes down to more of a, I don't want to say fanboy thing, but personal preference and in some cases brand loyalty over what actual good color science is or not. Most of the hate comments I get are from people that I would guess are heavily invested financially and emotionally into a specific brand. And it has less to do with the quality than the brand.
I mean, I can go off a rant right now about, Canon lenses, and they're better. And that's because I have Canon lenses. I don't have Sony lenses, and it's just a reaction. I don't listen. That's good to know. And that's a really good point, especially for new and beginning filmmakers or medium filmmakers. Don't get sucked into this crap. Don't get sucked into, well, I need to shoot in 422 and 4K RAW for your freaking talking head video or your waterfall video or whatever it is. Because by the time it gets up to YouTube, it's not going to be the same anyway. You're going to hammer screw the hell out of your computer unless you got a whoop butt computer, and you're just going to stop yourself and you're going to get frustrated. I have shot for years and continued to shoot with a Canon 5D Mark III in 1080. I upscale them to 4K and add a tiny bit of sharpening. I crush the blacks a little bit, and no one has said anything to me. Ooh, and it's pixelated. No one said anything. Because it doesn't freaking matter. Especially right now, most people watch their stuff on their phones or their iPads or whatever. Some watch it on their 4K TVs. Some. Don't get in all this stuff. If you're a hobbyist, you want to check it out, everything else, okay, I get it. You're a hobbyist and you want to do that. But don't get sucked into this stuff thinking that that's a problem for you to be able to make videos or be creative. Don't do it. If you're working for a client and they're paying you $100,000 for a 30-second commercial, you better pay attention. But for YouTube, just stop. Anyway, that is the 11th rant. Dude, I don't know what it is with you. I don't know what it is. I think it's not enough coffee, but
it's definitely that. I would say I'll rant one and then I'll have to get going. But
why don't you rant and I'll check through the comments and make sure we don't miss anybody's important stuff.
One of my favorite videos that I've produced was one on YouTube, at least, is one that I produced 3 or 4 years ago. I shot it with the original Mavic Pro, which had terrible color depth and bit depth. It was like 60 megabits. It was terrible. So any detail just turned into mush because it just couldn't handle processing it. And my iPhone 6, which had a really interesting yellow cast in the way it handled white balance. So I'm up in, shooting up in these glacier ice caves with an iPhone and a Mavic Pro. The white balance is shifting between this really weird yellow and white because of all the snow around me, and it just was trying to figure out what the correct white balance was. And then the Mavic Pro is flying along, and anytime you see all these little details, and it just turns to mush on YouTube because of the way it handled detail and stuff. But it's still one of my favorite videos because the way I was able to capture the story and showcase this place that we were exploring in the middle of winter, I really like it. It was shot with the least expensive gear I had at the time, but it works, and it worked because of the story. Oftentimes I find the people who are nitpicking about specs, not all the time, but oftentimes the people who are nitpicking about specs are the people who are not actually out creating very much with it, at leeds in the sense of YouTube. I do have friends that are pros, and they work with Arri Alexas, and they work with Reds, and they work with cinema lenses that are $15,000 to $20,000 each, and that's the stuff they work with. That's what they do. That's their living. That's how they make their life. And so, if they want to rant against something I'm using, that's fine. Oftentimes, though, those guys, they know story is king. And so they will come in and talk about a video I shot with, with my a7 III, which is worth a fifth 1.5% of whatever the camera that they use and work with every day is, but they'll talk about how great things looked and how awesome the shots were or something like that, because they understand that the story was well told through the video. It just, you know, I was down on a shoot in the lower 48 and I was shooting with a Mavic 2 Pro in 10-bit because I needed to. And everything else on the shoot was Arri Alexa Minis and an Inspire 2 shooting in ProRes RAW at 5.7K or 6K or whatever it was. And they're all friends of mine and stuff. And I'm like, you know, thinking this is kind of ridiculous. I have the least expensive thing on this shoot is my camera, the drone that I'm using,
Right.
and the FPV drone I was flying with and stuff. But the shots that I had to capture that they needed to capture, it was absolutely fine and workable with what I used. I mean, it was a GoPro on my FPV drone and the Mavic 2 Pro. And so again, it always has less to do with the equipment than it does your skill set and the story you're telling. And I think it's the way it's always going to be, even as equipment improves incredibly and the software we use to work with the video that we shoot improves and AI gets better and all this. Like it is always going to come down to who has the eye for composition, for getting a shot and capturing a shot and working with the light that is in that shot, capturing interesting angles, and who has the ability to pull those shots together and tell a compelling story that captures people's emotions in that story. That is always going to be the thing that wins out in the end.
Totally. I tried to warn my new